Now that we had a look at what this course offers, let me explain to you how you get the most out of it. Of course, you should watch the videos, go through the lectures, and I do my best there to explain how Angular works, why it works like this, and how you use the different features together. But besides the lectures, I got a couple of assignments in this course, practices, exercises, and I urge you to do these exercises. I designed them to be challenging but doable, and these assignments allow you to check if you understood a certain concept and to really practice it and get more comfortable using it. Well, besides the assignments, we're going to build a whole course project, and I can only invite you to build this project with me and also sometimes pause the video and build a feature we're about to implement together on your own first. This really is a great exercise too, and it might also be very interesting for you to expand this course project beyond the things we built here to add new features to it. Well, and if you're stuck somewhere or if something is unclear, there is the Q&A section, and I'm very happy to help you there and answer any questions you might have related to this course. However, you will learn even more if you not only ask, but only if you answer. Dig through the Q&A section and try to help other students too. Why? Because by answering, you are really challenged to think about a problem and to come up with a solution. And it doesn't really matter if that is then the best possible solution. If there is a better one, someone else is going to correct you, and then you learn again. But by thinking about it in the first place, you really go through the concepts you learned and you apply them to a real problem. So that is how you will learn the most. And besides that, how strange it might sound, the official documentation and Google is your friend, especially if you get some strange error messages. Simply Google for it, and not because I'm too lazy to help you, I will help you, but because it's so much faster than waiting for my reply or for the reply of someone else. Most of the error messages were encountered by other people before too, so chances are great that you get an answer by simply searching for them. And by following these advices, you should learn a lot about Angular in this course. No worries, we're about to get started soon, but I did mention that we're going to use TypeScript in this course. We already did use it when we changed the first app. What is TypeScript? TypeScript really is just a superset to JavaScript. It offers more features than vanilla JavaScript, like classes, interfaces, and very important, which gives it the name, types, strong typing. So you define in TypeScript if a certain variable is a number, a string, or something else. You don't do this in vanilla JavaScript. There you have dynamic typing. You can have a string variable, and then you assign a number, and that's totally fine. That won't work in TypeScript, it will give you an error, and therefore it allows you to write much more robust code, which gets checked at the time you write it, and not just at the time you run it. A great enhancement. However, TypeScript doesn't run in the browser, so it is compiled to JavaScript in the end. And this compilation is handled by the CLI, one of the reasons why we need the CLI, why we need a project management tool like the CLI. Now, this compilation is really fast, and therefore in the end in the browser, JavaScript is going to run. We're not writing the Angular app in JavaScript though, because whilst technically possible, that won't be much fun. A lot of the features really only exist in TypeScript, and Angular is meant to be used together with TypeScript. That being said, you don't have to learn TypeScript for this course. You should be able to pick it up along the way, and I do have a whole section giving you a brief introduction into TypeScript at the end of this course, so feel free to jump ahead there, go through that section right now if you feel like you need that, or throughout the course if you feel like you need some deeper dive into some of the features you see there. And you should be fine, you should be able to follow along just fine. Of course, if you feel like it, feel free to pick up another course or tutorial focused on TypeScript so that you have something to look at if something is unclear in this course. Generally though, TypeScript is an addition to JavaScript, not a complete replacement, so a lot of the commands will look really familiar. Throughout this course, I'll often start with an empty project for a given section, so that we can focus on the topic at hand in this section. So therefore, you can simply create a new project with ng-new, as we did it a couple of lectures ago. And I'll typically start with an empty app component HTML file. If I have a different starting setup, you'll find it attached to the lecture, so I'll always ensure that this is the case. But here, I'll now simply have this empty setup. We can now remove Forms module from App module here, in case you added it, so that we really have a clean starting project. And now there's one important thing. In this course, I'll use the Bootstrap CSS framework to have some nice CSS styles out of the box without us having to write all these CSS styles. Now to add this, we need to install it, we need to download it. We can do this by quitting this development server with Ctrl-C and then installing it with this npm tool, this Node Package Manager, by running npm install --save bootstrap, and now that's important, add free to install version 3, which is the version I use in this course. Now this will install it locally in this project, not globally, locally. Simply hit enter and it will download Bootstrap and store it in that Node modules folder. Now that's one first step, but to be able to use it, we also need to make Angular aware of this styling package we want to use. And we do that in one of the config files, the most important one actually, the angular.json file. This configures the CLI project. We will not work in this project file throughout the course because the default setup is perfect and we don't need to change anything there. But one thing we do need to change right now is the styles we want to use by default. Here you got this styles array in this architect build node. Now it already has one entry, source styles CSS. This is a file you can use to define some global styles you want to use application-wide. So you can enter any CSS code here, and it will be used in every Angular component. But in my case, I will add another import prior to that source styles CSS import, so that we could overwrite it within this file. And now here we need to point to Node modules, so to this Node modules folder we got there. And there, if you scroll down a bit, there are many dependencies because you also have dependencies of dependencies here. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see Bootstrap. And in there, you find a dist folder, a CSS folder, and there the Bootstrap CSS file, or to be precise, there also is a bootstrap.min.css file, just hidden a bit by my IDE. So we can enter node modules /bootstrap /dist /css /bootstrap.min.css and make sure that you got no typo in here. It's easy to miss the T or something like that. So make sure that you have a path like this. Once you added this path here, save your package.json file and rerun ngserve to load this new configuration. As I said, you don't really need to change anything else here. The default configuration should work perfectly. So once you're done, you can visit localhost 4200 and you won't see anything because I deleted all the content in the template. But if you open the developer tools and you go to the elements tab there, here in the head section, you will see that the styles CSS file is being imported. And if you go to sources, you should find that styles CSS file here. And in there, you will see that it's mentioning Bootstrap, which basically means that everything worked and Bootstrap is included here. And with that, you know that everything we do in the course will work and will have the correct styles. Now one last change, in the app component, I'll also get rid of whichever property we have here. With that, the starting project is prepared. You can always use that at the beginning of a new module, and important, you also saw how you can add your own styles. So now that we got started with this course and with Angular and our project we're going to use in this course, it's time to dive deeper into Angular to understand what it really does, what happens behind the scenes, how an Angular app gets started in the first place, and which base building blocks it offers us, how we can build Angular apps, and which features we may use for this. By the end of this section, you will understand how you can build your basic Angular application, what it then does, and what you need to change to reach a different result. So with this, let's dive into it and let's start by having a look what actually happens when we visit this page in the browser, when we reload this page. How does Angular get started? What do we actually see here besides nothing? Because there is more to this page than it might look like.